On this episode of the Sports Opinions Podcast, David Coleman and Michael White from the Here's the Deal podcast join the show as we talk about the NBA Finals, Rockets free agency, Lakers free agency, what the Packers can do to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy, how Phillip Rivers and the Los Angeles Chargers haven't won a championship yet, and we all give our way too early predictions for next year's NBA champions and this year's NFL champions. But fans, remind you every week, go visit overtimeheroics.com. Great website for sports articles. And also, if you go into the forum, you'll be able to discuss any sport topic you want with a bevy of sports fans, and you will not have any content on there that you will not like. And also, go on Spreaker.com, listen to IE Sports Radio. You will get live coverage of the biggest major sports events and also some great radio shows covering all topics in sports with some of the best personalities in sports. So without further ado, cue the intro. What's up, sports fans, and welcome to the Sports Opinions Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Alex Cuesta, and continuing with my Overtime Heroics Podcast Network showcase. Last time I had the Cleveland Surge with Grant Pusker. It was a great show. This time I'm having on a special duo, which I know it's rare on the show that I have duos. This is going to be a fun challenge for me as a host because I don't often do this, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get it down because they already have the chemistry going. It is David Coleman and Michael White from Here's the Deal podcast coming out of Virginia, which you can hear anywhere. What's up, guys? David, Michael, what's going on?
Hey, what's good, everybody?
Hey, what's going on? Glad to be on the show, Alex. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
I am absolutely pumped. So I want to first, so that everyone can hear what it's about. Michael, can you start off? Can you tell us a little bit about Here's the Deal podcast? What we can expect to hear on a typical episode between you and David, what you guys specialize in. Just kind of give us a synopsis of your show and what the fans can expect to hear.
Thanks to Alex. So for the Here's the Deal podcast, it was started in 2016. Like I was telling you before the show, I was by myself at the time, giving out my sports takes. And then I figured out, man, this is really hard by myself. So I needed to find myself a co-host. Started looking around. Ran into my childhood friend, David, who I've known since I was like 6, 7 years old. Linked up with him, and ever since then, the Here's the Deal podcast has really taken off. On our episodes, you can find us always talking about anything that involves the NBA, the NFL. We like to do our top 5 lists, and we also like to keep the fans involved. So we're always paying attention to all our social medias and things of that nature so we can really get the fans' perspective on things like on sports, on whatever they want to talk about. So on the Here's the Deal podcast, pretty much, we're just always promoting that NBA, NFL talk, that real, just down-to-earth sports talk that everybody likes to hear.
So, David, basically what I'm hearing from Michael, he talked about a little earlier, he wants to be the Stephen A. Smith. So does that make you – I'm not going to call you Max Kellerman because that's offensive, but are you the Skip Bayless in a way right there? Are you coming in with the hot takes out of nowhere that are crazy?
I'm definitely coming with the hot takes. Every now and then they get a little crazy. I've been saying Steph is a glorified role player throughout this playoff. So every now and then I'll step out on a limb. But for the most part, we're pretty in unison with a lot of the things we're talking about. But every now and then, shake it up and get some good debates going.
David, I'm not going to lie. It's funny you say that because people have gotten on me, but I've said if the rules were back in the day, Steph Curry is Del Curry. He is a really, really good shooter that if he drives inside might die.
I agree with that. Yeah. Cause he has a frail body. So he definitely back in the day, he would have got roughed up.
There we go. Michael, do you agree with that? I don't think you agree with that.
I agree. Would I call him Del Curry? Probably not, just because his ability to shoot off the dribble. But I agree. In the 90s, though, he would have definitely had a chipped tooth here. They would have mucked it up on him.
So as you guys mentioned, NBA, NFL, that's your forte. That's what we are going to be heavy on today. And thankfully, that's basically my sources of knowledge to our NBA, NFL. I love all sports, but those are the two that I really jump into all the time. We're going to start off NBA here because it is finals time. We are watching the Warriors, Steph Curry, struggle against the Toronto Raptors, which is basically Kawhi Leonard, Drake, and then a bunch of guys. I mean, that might be offensive. Pascal Siakam's really good, and Kyle Lowry still thinks it's a regular season, so they're doing all right there. But, David, what's your feel right now? We all saw Kevin Durant go down. We all saw the Toronto fans get rowdy and then get reprimanded by their players. What's your feel with this finals? They're going to head back to Oracle. Are they bringing this back to Toronto? Are we going to see Game 7?
I think Toronto, they have a poised leader. Kawhi Leonard is probably the best leader for that team. Like you said, Kyle Lowry's playing like it's the regular season, so he's not getting too excited. The moment's not too big for him, at least it hasn't seemed so. Yeah, other than, that last shot they decided to take Game 5. But other than that, I think they're going to win it in Game 6. I think the Toronto Raptors will end up taking that game. I think they'll win it in last game of Oracle. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Kawhi, he's going to have everybody – kind of simmered down. They've already taken 2 games in Oracle, so they know it's possible. They feel like they are the better team, so I definitely think they will finish it in this 6th game. There will be no Game 7.
No Game 7. Kawhi definitely, I've been saying he has unfinished business from his day with the Spurs because a lot of people forget his injury happened while he was leading the Spurs to eventually, I think, beat Golden State in that playoff series. So I'm excited to see Kawhi do his thing. Now, Michael, KD goes down. There's still rumors saying that he's not going to opt in with Golden State and that he still wants to test free agency. Golden State is his last option to opt in. He's done for all of next year with that ruptured Achilles. Is he out of his damn mind not opting in?
I don't think he's out of his mind. If I was in his shoes personally, I would stay with Golden State just because you have the camaraderie there. You can get the most money there. But I don't think he's out of his mind because no matter what, wherever he goes, we're already hearing reports that teams are going to give him the max no matter what. They're going to take a chance on his recovery and all of that because once you get back, is maybe probably one of the best players in the league, definitely top 2 or top 3 at the least. So I don't think he's out of his mind. He's going to get his money no matter what. And, once a player has his mind set that he wants to leave, he wants to be somewhere else. Remember, right before all this injury happened and he tore his Achilles, people were, almost mocking KD and the rings he's gotten so far. So I still think he's searching for that validation, and this Achilles tear won't stop him. We see a guy like Boogie Cousins, who's a lot heavier. I mean, he's not 100% healthy right now. He's kind of playing out of necessity, but he's managed to bring himself back from Achilles tear as well. So I don't think it's far-fetched that we might see Kevin Durant return at least somewhat close to what he is right now.
Now, you see, I have a weird feeling on that because you see Boogie. Boogie's a bona fide starter on every single team he's ever been on. Yes, he's not 100%, but normally 75% Boogie's good enough to start. There's still something going on that the man is coming off the bench. I really feel that when KD comes back in a year, I'm really tentative to call him a top 5 guy because that's a legitimate injury. That injury is tough. I feel like we're going to see a 20, 25 point a game guy, but I don't know if it's going to be a control the game guy. To me, I don't know if I see that game control there, Michael. So I don't know. Do you think he's really going to come back that strong, Michael?
Well, there's obviously going to be some drop-off. I think your assessment is right. 20 to 25 points. This is KD. He's still 7 foot. His shot's not going to go anywhere. What we're probably going to miss is some of that athleticism. Some of his strength will be gone. But he'll still be able to get buckets up in a fast time. So when I look at who's going to be the best player starting next year, I mean, we already saw some decline from LeBron in last year, so we don't know what we're getting from him.
Stop it. 27, 7, and 7 before the injury is not a decline. Stop it, Michael.
Yeah, but when you can look at the stats and say he hasn't declined. I'm a Laker fan to death. I watched every game. It was a clear step. It was a clear step behind what he was the year before, in my opinion. Even though his stats are still there, like LeBron, KD can get those stats in his sleep. Will he be a top 3 player though? It's going to be tough to see, but I think with the type of drive that KD has, I think he'll be able to come back and at least make the argument for top 5.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and it's really tough. He'll be in the argument, but there's constantly guys pushing up into that echelon. David, I'm going to kind of poke fun at your favorite team, the Rockets, right now. Harden is obviously one of those top 5 guys.
Oh, yeah.
He hates defense, but he's one of the best players in the game. But it's not working. they're getting only so far. They're doing what they can. CP3 can only give you like 16 minutes out of every game at CP3 level when he's actually healthy. Clint Capella, I think, took a massive step back this year. He needs another guy. Is there time to kind of reset in Houston around Harden?
I definitely do believe it's time to reset. If we can find another star to pair next to James Harden, like you said, Chris Paul's not the same player. So now we need I believe we need a two-way wing, somebody in the front court, whether it be a wing player or somebody dominant in the paint that can take some of that load off of James Harden, at least help him out on the defensive end, also give him buckets on the offensive end. Because him averaging 36 points here was great to see throughout the regular season. But if you look throughout history, whenever a player averages like 35-plus points, their team usually isn't that good. It's a bad sign. So you'll make the playoffs, but you'll lose to a better team eventually. So it was great to see for an individual player perspective. But as far as a team concept, I definitely believe we have to rebuild either through free agency, with trades, however we can do it. Daryl Morey is a wizard sometimes. So, hey, I believe in him. I think he'll make something work. But I think James Harden is who we go with going forward because he's a generational talent. I believe he's a top 3 player right now. So I think I'm good with him. It's just the supporting cast around.
So you might be mad at me because I didn't even have him in a top 5 of mine. Not because he's not great, because he hates defense. I cannot put a guy that refuses to play defense in my top 5. He's a top 2 scorer, but I can't put him in my top 5.
He took a lot of huge steps on defense this year. He got a couple of defensive
he moved his feet a little.
Yeah, he moved his feet a little bit. He just let him run by him. He gave us a little bit of effort, and that's all he had to do. Like you say, he's top 2 offensively.
So, Michael, I'm going to give you a chance to chime in about the Rocket stuff. I have a theory that they're going to go after – I agree with you, David, that they're going to kind of go after that – not that top tier guy, but that kind of second tier wing. I'm thinking a guy like Chris Middleton is someone that they're going to hawk. Do you think they have a shot at any of those second tier guys coming out?
I think they do. You have a nice little package that you could probably mix up with Capella, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, these type of role players. I think these type of guys, I personally think they need a wing as well. I was thinking someone along the lines of maybe a Tobias Harris. I don't know. If you make the right moves and you can bring a guy like that, another guy who can score, get his own basket, hit threes, spread the floor for you, even play make a little bit, I think that'll be perfect for them. But I agree that it's time to shake things up. The Chris Paul contract looks absolutely horrible at this point, since he could barely get up and down the court. Just the drop off from the year before he hurt his hamstring to this year was significant for them. Definitely didn't get the Chris Paul I thought I was going to see in the playoffs. So, yeah, I like Chris Middleton too fitting in. He would fit with them too. A player like that will definitely help take some of that pressure off James Harden. Like you guys said, he's top 2 offensively in the league, but you can't expect him to ISO all damn season, then come to the playoffs and expect that same thing to work while a team is game planning for you for 7 games. It's not going to work, especially when you have to play defense like we saw against the Golden State Warriors.
Now, I'm just curious. It just popped into my head because we're talking about a wing, but we saw that when Harden has to play point guard, he can distribute, he can get his, he could do it all, but they're a weaker team when they're doing that. There's no rumor linking Kemba and the Rockets, but would a guy like Kemba be someone that you would want to come there, David? And you think a player like Kemba would be enough for James Harden to kind of take a step back and not play so much ISO, or is that just ingrained in his blood?
There's been, like, around the All-Star break, there were a lot of Warriors players like Steph and just everybody that he was on the All-Star team with saying that he didn't want to play that ISO type of ball. So I definitely think he wants to get away from that. He knows that for the long term, if he wants to win a ring, I
got to stop you for a second. There were rumors about Melo not wanting to play ISO ball too, but can we talk real quick? Can we acknowledge that? Can we acknowledge that?
Yeah, Melo's a different type of story. He dump him the ball and just go to work. Harden, to a degree, he played with those OKC teams. He knows what it's like to have other great players around him and to see them thrive. So I think he knows if he has another great player around him. I'm not sure if Kemba Walker's the answer, even though he'd be better than probably Chris Paul at this point, but I don't think he's the answer for us going forward. I'd rather have somebody in the front court. I just don't think I think if anything, for our point guard position, we should get Patrick Beverly back. That would be the perfect fit. Like, looking back at that trade for Chris Paul, we might have fucked up doing that. Like, we could have really used having Patrick Beverly, Lou Williams, like all those great players for the Clippers this year. Seeing at the step that Chris Paul's taking back and that contract, like it really set us back a little bit.
Now, you're going to hear it here first. Sports Opinions, I'm making the call. The Rockets make a hard run and possibly get Boogie Cousins in hopes that he can be that down low guy for James Harden. I'm calling that here right now.
I wish they would have did that this year.
I never thought about that one. That would be interesting.
Yeah, and I really think if you get Boogie and then you get even just someone that can – I don't know if Goran Dragic has that much longer in Miami, but you get a Goran Dragic to just come and run the offense.
Yeah, there's been rumors of us trading to Miami, so, hey. That might happen, actually. That may actually happen. Maybe getting Chris Paul and shipping him to Miami. I'm not sure if Pat Riley would be up for that, but I saw a couple of articles about it.
Yeah, so again, anyone that wants to know if Boogie goes to Houston, they're listening to the show. That's all I know. We're going to switch gears over to the West Coast. We're going to talk about the Lake Show. The Lake Show that was supposed to be the show that ended up getting canceled early this season. LeBron had them in fourth. I think we all knew it was fool's gold because it was early. Teams weren't in playoff mode yet. But the injury definitely took them back. I think Lakers are in the playoffs without a doubt with LeBron, but they're not winning the chip, which is why he kind of took the step back. Magic's gone. New head coach. The head coach is putting head coaches around him, which I think is smart. But what the hell are the Lakers going to do to help Bron, Michael?
Well, as we're seeing today all over Twitter, it looks like we're making this push for Anthony Davis. The Lakers are clearly trying to just pair LeBron James up with another superstar while setting up their future with another young star. So I think we're going to go after Anthony Davis. And if it means giving up all our young assets, I believe we're going to do it. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of giving up all our young assets for one guy, but at the same time, this is Anthony Davis. This is a once-in-a-generational type player. He is a top 5 player when playing at his best. So, I mean, that's ultimately what's going to happen. We're going to have to get LeBron. We're going to have to actually put a team around him that makes sense. Now, the whole playmakers and defenders thing, it sounded real cute and stuff before the season started. But we were like one of the worst teams in three-point percentage this year, if not bottom 3, something along those lines. So I think we need to go out there and grab the correct role players, guys like Seth Curry, our free agents, guys like Terrence Ross, people who can knock down shots, and then build around Anthony Davis and LeBron and see what we can put together. But it all starts with the front office, and it's been in shambles, especially ever since Magic left, and you hear all these things coming out. But I like what they've did with their coaching staff so far. It's been an excellent coaching search, if you ask me, in my opinion. Yes, all 3 of these guys have been head coaches, so you might run into the problem of some people stepping on each other's toes, but all 3 of these guys have experience. Frank Vogel's been in the Eastern Conference Finals. Lionel Hollins has been in the Western Conference Finals. Jason Kidd, we know what work he's done with Giannis when he was in Milwaukee. So I like the steps we've taken after all the chaos that's happened.
Yeah, I think it's good. Now, David, I got to ask you from a perspective. We're both outsiders on the Lakers, but we see LeBron, what LeBron does. He is the point guard. He plays all 5 positions. But looking at that, you have kids like Lonzo Ball, who was, when healthy, I'm not a Lonzo big. I think he's a starter in the NBA. I'm pumping the brakes on the superstar stuff. I never thought he could be a superstar. I just think he's a good player. But he is a very old school type of point guard where he is going to distribute the ball. He's going to make his plays. But you got LeBron. Is there a place for Lonzo even on this team if he manages to survive not getting traded?
I definitely believe so. Today I tweeted out a hot take. I believe that if they do keep Lonzo and they get Anthony Davis or something, I think he'll be an all-star this season. Like, I think he'll take that jump. He just has to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing to me. When he's on the floor, they're a top defensive team. I think he would have made all NBA first-team defense if he would have stayed healthy throughout this season. So he's already a lockdown defender, and his shot is only getting better at this point. He's somewhat of a streaky shooter at sometimes. Like, sometimes he'll be hitting, other times, he can't. He's airballing every shot he shoots up, even free throws at sometimes. That's the biggest knock that I do have on Lonzo. He has to improve that free throw shooting because shooting below 50% is not going to get it done. But alongside LeBron, both of them together, we've seen them get a triple-double together. Like, that was when they were kind of at their peak before LeBron got hurt. So I think they can coexist. It's just finding a balance between LeBron playing off ball some, and Lonzo just taking that next step and starting to become more of a dominant player in the league.
See, my buddy from the Personal Foul podcast is a hometown friend of mine, Colton Gesser. He has another sports podcast. He would really like you, David, because he's a big Zoe fan, and I just rib him constantly about Lonzo. So he'd be a fan of you right now. Michael, I'm throwing this at you. You were talking about the trade. Kuzma seems to be the snag right now. The reports are saying that the Pelicans need Kuzma in the package to consider it, and the Lakers don't want to give him up. Now, when we were talking, about Lonzo, Kuzma's in the same class, and I've been saying that the better rookie out of those two is Kyle Kuzma. He's going to end up being a really, really good all-star player, I think, in my eyes. Would you be okay with them giving up, basically all of your young guys, including Kuzma, to get an AD?
No, that was my first. I've kind of more along the lines of I've just kind of accepted it's probably going to happen. But if you're asking me personally, no, I would rather keep the core. I'm a part of the Keep the Core movement on Twitter. Look, I like Lonzo Ball. I'm a big fan of him as well. I think he's very important for our defense. In fact, when he went out defensively, we dropped to like 27th, I believe. So he definitely showed his importance to the team. Kuzma, he's a great scorer, 18 points a game. He's only going to get better, and I really like how he scores so easily. Like, a lot of his shots aren't just ISO. He gets a lot of his points off cuts, just cutting to the basket, being in the right place, a lot of quick layups. And who's delivering half the time? Lonzo Ball. Brandon Ingram, I would be okay giving him up just because I think we have an abundance at the wing position. And earlier in the season, even though he picked it up after the All-Star break, he was the one that didn't quite seem to fit with LeBron because he needs the ball and he kind of plays at a slower pace while we were trying to pick it up. So I'm all part for the Keep the Core movement. I like all three of our young guys. I think they had a lot of promise, but I mean, this business is about stars, and ultimately LA is about stars, and that's what they want. So if the trade does go down and we lose all three of their guys, I'm probably going to go into a little personal hiatus where I don't talk to anybody and stay in my room and listen to Drake, just some sad Drake for a couple of weeks. But I'll get over it hopefully if they put the right team around Anthony Davis and LeBron.
Now, I got to stop you real quick, a little pop culture. You got to throw in some Sad Cuddy with the Sad Drake, because Sad Cuddy at prime is elite in terms of depression.
First off, that's if I ever walk past somebody's room and they're playing Sad Drake plus Sad Cuddy, immediately we need to check on him right now. We need to break down this door and figure it out. That is the ultimate combination.
Resistance and then Solo Dolo, like, you got to help that man out.
Oh my God, that's the ultimate combination of emotions going wrong in one room.
Oh man. But yeah, so Lake Show, I agree with you. They need to get the star power. It's gonna be interesting. This offseason is going to be fun. It's funny to hear. I never thought in my life I would hear Lakers fans and even Knicks fans talking about keeping their young core. I'm a Nets fan. So to me, hearing these mega powers saying that, it's like, yeah, bitches, welcome to the club of struggling and going, we have some talent. We need to hold on to it. Don't let it go. Last time we do things like that, we get guys like Travis Outlaw, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. So here,
oh, man.
Yeah, exactly. You could tell I've been a Nets fan for a minute, throwing out the Travis Outlaw name.
Travis Outlaw, Jesus, I feel for you. I feel for you.
I actually, when they traded for him, like, he was like an 84 on NBA Live, and I was like, cool, he's gonna be all right. I played with him, made him a baller on the game, and then he doesn't play a single damn game.
Yeah,
2K can lie. 2K be lying to you sometimes, man.
Oh man, all right. So we are going to switch some gears. We're jumping into some NFL talk because it is never too early to talk NFL.
Never.
So we're going to talk about two teams that, kind of a tale of two teams. One was good all year, and the other had the best quarterback in football all year. They were just not good. So we're going to start off with the Packers. And Rodgers needs to stay healthy. Michael, am I right? Are you the Packers fan, or is it David?
I am the Packers fan ever since 90, I would say probably about 90, 98.
So you're telling me like Dorsey Levens back when they were –
Dorsey Levens, Antonio Freeman. Yeah, Brett Favre. Hey, look, that was my first squad, man.
There you go, yeah. See, don't test me with my NFL knowledge, kids. But so this right now with the Packers, to me, Rodgers is Rodgers. And my issue with McCarthy is I think he just kind of got tired of fighting with Rodgers, because I think they had a good working relationship, but a super contentious one at the same time, which can be great and terrible. I think you need both to be great. But I just think it came to a point last year where McCarthy was kind of just throwing his arms like, well, whatever, Aaron, you want to do it on your own, do it on your own. And it came to a front. Aaron ended up getting hurt and really took a step back. Will they be able to do enough this year, put enough around him to make the Packers the championship team they should be with that type of player?
Well, I just think when you look at Aaron Rodgers and the talent of quarterback that he – even in this last season where he was hurt for the majority of it, hobbled, he was still 25 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, over 4,000 yards passing. So if you give him some semblance of a decent roster, you're in the playoffs no matter what, as long as you keep them healthy. So I think the Packers really ran into this offseason. They got rid of McCarthy. They actually changed up their whole mantra of, oh, we only pick people through the draft. No, we went out, we grabbed some free agents, Darius Smith. We went out and got Adrian Amos from Chicago to fill up our safety position. I think they are going to make the push, because just like the Lakers almost, when you got it, you've got an aging superstar, right, who is in win-now mode right now. You need to put the best players around him possible. And I think with a new coach, even though somehow he tore his Achilles playing basketball, that was the most random thing I got this offseason. But I think with the new coach, these guys are actually going out and getting free agents. We got our young receivers are taking another step forward. I think the Packers are definitely going to be one of those teams in the mix again, because Aaron Rodgers is just too good for the Packers not to be.
Now, Michael, I got to ask you a question, because I got a bone to pick with your franchise.
Okay.
How do you guys get rid of a player with one of the best names in sports and Clinton Dix? How do you do that? One of the best names.
I don't know. Like, I used to always say his name every time he got an interception or something, and my daughters would be going around the house screaming, ha, ha, ha.
Like the Simpsons, like, ha, ha.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't look. He didn't want to be with us anymore, and hey, look, I'm kind of happy with Adrian Amos at this point. So,
yeah, Amos
all best wishes to Clinton Dix.
So now, David, we're going to take the chance to pile on a little, because we got Michael talking about how positive he is with this Packers. We're going to talk about the rest of the division, how difficult it's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to talk about the Lions not being relevant. So goodbye. Matthew Stafford's going to throw 70 touchdown interceptions. I slipped up there. He used to throw touchdowns. Now he just throws interceptions.
Yeah.
Matt Patricia's still going to look like he just got done eating like a box of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Like, he always has something in his beard. It's gross. So the Lions are out. But you have dudes like Mitchell Trubisky taking big steps last year. Is he a superstar? No. But can you win a Super Bowl with that type of talent? Hell yeah, you can. Nick Foles won one.
Yeah.
So I think the Bears, they took their safety, but the Bears are going to be good. The Vikings have been finding ways to be good every single year. Do you see the Packers just not having enough juice to get by the Bears and Vikings?
With the Bears, they have a elite defense, as well as the Vikings. Both of them have elite defenses, so they're kind of playing the system as to, okay, let's try and slow down Aaron Rodgers. Like, we've seen Aaron Rodgers, he struggles the most against the interdivision teams, being the Vikings for the most part. The Vikings have really had his number whenever they play him. They've been taking him out for the season and things like that. So they've really been beating on him the last few years. So they've held nothing against him. But the Bears, I think they're their biggest competition in this division, because, like you said, Mitchell Trubisky's taking steps. They're continuing to gain weapons around him. As long as he stays on that rookie contract, they're still able to put a viable team around him. They end up getting Clinton Dix on their team, so maybe he'll be able to give them some inside information against Aaron Rodgers. And for all you know, maybe they're the team that's running the division the next 10 years. Khalil Mack, he's a beast out there. He may be the best player in the division, possibly. It's kind of hard to say with Aaron Rodgers being there. But other than that, the Vikings, I think, as much as I like Kirk Cousins, when it comes to the biggest moments, he really does shrink. It's kind of what it is at this point. I like him, but they should have been in the playoffs last year. There's no reason they shouldn't have been in the playoffs. Adam Thielen was having a great year. Stephon Diggs was having a great year. When Kirk Cousins in those clutch fourth quarter moments when they need him to win a game, he just wasn't able to do it. So I think the Vikings are starting to take a step backwards. Their defense wasn't as good as it usually is. So I think they're starting to take a step backwards, and that's where I think the Packers do slide in and maybe get like a wild card position in the playoffs.
I like it. I could definitely see all that happening. Now, we're going to stick with you, David, because we're going to get a little depressed. Because last year, I was rooting not for your Chargers. I really wasn't. I don't care about the Chargers. I love Phillip Rivers. I just think that he is such a great player that he might be the Dan Marino of our generation. I'm not saying he's as good as Dan Marino because there might not be anyone, but he has that type of talent level. Mm-hmm. And they didn't win again, and they didn't even make it to the Super Bowl again, and they were a hell of a team last year. Mm-hmm. And there's been some great teams in San Diego. Yeah. How the hell have they not won a Super Bowl? Explain this to me. How under Phillip Rivers? How?
Former days, we were so close. Former days, we were so close. But those damn Patriots, man. Those fucking Patriots, like, can't get around them. Like, that's usually the team we have to go through, and every time we play them, Bill just either outcoaches us or there's some type of silly mistake that just happens. Back in 2000, AFC Championship, like we were so close. Our cornerback catches an interception, but of course he doesn't slide in the fourth quarter. He decides to try and run with it, and they get stripped. Like stupid things like that. Just stupid mistakes that you can't make when you're trying to be a Super Bowl champion. With the most recent year, I think we've addressed the problem. We went out there, got a defensive tackle with the first pick. So I think he's going to play dividends because we weren't able to stop the run, and they were killing us with short passes. Like, that's where the adjustments have to be made. During the game, you can't just stick with your game plan. Like, during the postseason, we said we are going to run out there, I guess, with the 7 DB lineup, but you're playing the Patriots. That's just not going to work. Like, NFL teams just don't adjust. Like, I understand you come in there with a game plan. You think you're very confident in it, but you have to adjust, and that's what makes the Patriots so great. So I think maybe our coach, he's young, Anthony Lynn, he's a very young coach, so he takes that as a learning experience, and hopefully he adjusts going in next year, the new personnel that we brought in. And Phillip Rivers, he's ready for a ring. Like, as many kids as he's got, he may play for a few more years. He's trying to get as much money as he can, but I know he does want a ring before he does retire. So we definitely need to get him that, and we may bring Antonio Gates back. So I definitely want to see both of them go out on top.
That would be fun if he definitely comes back. Now, Michael, outsider's perspective, is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Famer, yes or no?
I'm going to say yes.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to say yes. I'm a big fan of Phillip Rivers. I like the player he is in game. Like you said, you guys just ran into some unfortunate events called the New England Patriots. I mean, a lot of teams have ran into that teams and not been successful. So I think Phillip Rivers is still going to make the Hall of Fame with his stats, his longevity. I mean, what year is Phillip Rivers in now? He looks young as crap, but
it's the same as Eli. So what is it? 12th year, maybe more?
Oh man, so Eli's like 33,
15. Yeah, they came in the same draft class,
and he's definitely playing at a higher level than Eli. And look, 12-4 last year with the Chargers. They have the right roster around them now. I think he's going to be, a staple over his last couple of years, and he's always there. He's always a gamer. And personally, they're never losing. He's never going to lose you the game. To me, Phillip Rivers is not going to lose you a game. So I think he's definitely a Hall of Famer, and they're going to have some successful years coming up. But that Patrick Mahomes guy in their division is going to make things a little tough.
He definitely is. Now, there's one test. I forget. I listen to talk radio and all that stuff all the time. But there was one guy I was listening to that they were talking. It was about baseball, but I think it applies to everything. And they were saying when you hear a player's name, if you don't think Hall of Fame right away, then they're probably not a Hall of Famer. So every time I hear Phillip Rivers, I think Hall of Fame right away. So to me, he's in.
Yeah.
David, I want to talk about the division real quick. Michael mentioned it. Patty Mahomes is obviously the highlight guy, the big fish with the Chiefs. But the Chiefs did lose some guys. They lost Kareem Hunt. That's big. Right. The Broncos, I feel, have gotten better. The Raiders seem to actually have a plan with Gruden down there, and it seems that might be coming to fruition if all the pieces come together there. Your division might end up being the toughest and scariest division in football next year. Does that kind of scare you?
Oh, it doesn't scare me at all. I think the Chiefs, they're taking a step backwards. Patrick Mahomes, it was his first year playing, even though it was his second year, in the NFL. But I think he will take a step backwards. A little bit more film on him. I doubt though.
You hope.
I'm not gonna lie. I pray that he takes a step backwards. Like, I don't see him throwing 50+ touchdowns again. That's just if he does that, then hey, we're in it for the long term. But I think he'll take somewhat of a step back, which will still be great, obviously. But I do think the Chiefs, their defense is slowly they were bad last year, but I think they'll be even worse this year because they didn't really add anybody other than Tyrann Matthews, and they lost players on top of that. So I think they will be worse. We were only a game away from them. We actually got over the hump and beat them last year. So there are some good signs there after a long time of not beating them. And I think as we continue to go through this change from San Diego to LA, I think we're starting to get that home field advantage. The team's starting to come together. We have a lot of great young talent, Derwin James, Melvin Ingram, Joey Bosa. I could go on for days. We got some of the best young talent in the league, but I think another year of them being together, I think it'll really give them that, the confidence to take that next step, that we can beat the Patriots, we can beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, and I think we will be able to beat anybody else in the division. I'm not worried about the Raiders. I'm not worried about the Broncos. They're still like 2 or 3 years away from actually competing with us at the top of the division.
All right, so before we close this bad boy out, I got to throw it on you guys. Michael, it's coming to you first. Give me the champions for next basketball season and this upcoming football season. Who you got?
Next basketball season, it's going to be the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James is going to win another ring. Anthony Davis is going to be on the team. What's going to happen is we're going to have a starting lineup of Lonzo Ball, Jimmy Butler, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and JaVale McGee.
And Kobe's coming out of retirement.
Right.
And Kobe's going to be coaching. He's coaching. Nah. But all jokes aside, I'm picking my Lakers next year. I feel like we're going to make the right moves this summer. So I'm picking my Lakers as far as the NBA. As far as the NFL, I would normally just flat out pick my Packers. But I'm not going to do that because I have to see it to believe it. I have to see they're going to put everybody in the right pieces around Aaron Rodgers. And I just think the league is so tough. So next year, I got the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP.
David, you definitely going to have something to say about that. Give me your two. Give me basketball and football. Who you got?
Well, I'm going to start with football. I got the Los Angeles Chargers win their first Super Bowl, bringing it back to LA, doing something that the Lakers will not do next year. So the only team that can win a championship in LA. Phillip Rivers getting his first championship. It's going to be a beautiful moment, something to cherish. For the NBA, this is where it gets tough because I do want to say my Rockets, but things are a little shaky in Houston right now. But I think wherever Kawhi Leonard goes, they're going to win a ring. That's where I'm going. Wherever Kawhi Leonard, if he goes to the Clippers, they win the ring. If he stays in Toronto, they repeat. That's where I'm at right now. So wherever Kawhi is, that's who's winning next year.
See, I like it. You stole my thunder because I was going to say there is an LA team winning a chip next year, but it ain't going to be the Lakers in basketball. It's going to be the Clip. Because I think Kawhi is going to end up – he's going to win this year, and he's going to, lock down his lure as one of the top 10, if not 5 players in the history of the game by winning with the Spurs, winning in his first year in Toronto, and winning in his first year with the Clippers.
Oh, yeah. Instant top 10.
And he's just going to be a monster. I'm sorry, Michael. I think Michael now will never come on this show again after that.
If the Clippers win the NBA championship next year, you know that guy I said you're going to need to check on with the Cuddy and the Drake? It's going to be me. It's going to be me if the Clippers win the championship.
Then we're going to be listening. He's going to be mixing in some 808 from Kanye. That would be the ultimate.
Oh, my God. Then it's a wrap. It's a wrap. First song I'm playing is Bad News.
Man, you can't – listen, you can't do nothing until Yandi comes out, okay? You can't.
Oh, my God.
But, all right, and my NFL pick, I mean – I don't know. I'm about to piss Michael off again. I've had the Bears for a minute. I think that defense is gonna ride them to the championship, and Mitchell's gonna do just enough.
That's a good pick. I like that pick because
you like that pick because it pissed Michael off. The next show, I gotta listen to the next show because I guarantee it's just gonna be talking shit about me. He's right off the bat. Like, yo, we're never going on that show again. He's an idiot.
The Bears, that's crazy. I hope not. I really hope not.
It would just be the most miserable sports year for you, Michael.
It would be horrible. Clippers and the Bears in 1 year. Nah, man.
Who else can we add to make you depressed? We got the
Oh, man.
But man, all right, with that, we are closing out this fun podcast. David Coleman, Michael White, of Here's the Deal podcast, coming to you from Virginia. Thank you guys for coming on.
Hey, no problem, man. Glad to have us.
Yes, thank you for having us, man. I just want to shout out our social media sites. Our Twitter account, you can follow us at @hereis_the_deal, and my personal account is _dcole, and that's with a 0.
Yeah, and then my personal Twitter account is LWS Junior M White on Twitter, and then you can find me under all the Here's the Deal. We have Here's the Deal on Facebook, and we have it on Instagram at Here's the Deal _23.
And you can also find them on anywhere you can find a podcast. So go search for them. If you liked what you heard here, you're going to hear that and a whole bunch more. As you can tell, they're just two dudes that love sports. And apparently me and David just like making Michael miserable. So,
right.
But again, this was the Sports Opinions podcast. This was the Overtime Heroics Podcast Network showcase. The reason I do these is because they're fun as hell like this. Get to see the different personalities in podcasts, especially in the sports world. It's a great time. I'm your host, as always, Alex Cuesta. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at @_Cuesta30. Find Sports Opinions on Twitter at SportsOpinion30. Instagram, Sports Opinions 30. Visit us over on Facebook. And like Here's the Deal, you can find us anywhere you can find a podcast. So I hope you guys go check out Here's the Deal. Check out all the other episodes of Sports Opinions. And again, David, Michael, thank you guys for coming on. This was an absolute hell of a time. Again, I'm Alex Cuesta. This is the Sports Opinions podcast. Everybody have a good one.